Esther, and we are thrilled to have President and CEO of the El Paso Chamber, Ricardo Mora, join us. How many of you know or have heard of him before?
Well, I would.
Maybe good. Really hear the stories, right? I know I am, definitely. So, Mr. Mora, I don't want to hear too much because I want him to really spy you and give you the opportunity to ask questions. But his career really started as an entrepreneur, and he used his experience doing business in Mexico and here in the United States to prepare him for the role that he's currently in. As president and CEO of El Paso Chamber, he really supports a lot of the businesses here locally, helps the economic, development portion of our city to rise, and looks for opportunities in which we can continue to grow as a city, like really bringing in additional businesses, but also new ventures and new, with so many things coming up with aerospace and manufacturing and technology. There's a lot happening right now in our region. And so he's going to share a little bit about what his responsibilities are as president and CEO of the chamber. But I do taking it back before that, right? And really talking about how his experience as an entrepreneur prepared him for this role and what that looks like for him. So I invite you to please, he made this interactive. I know that for a fact. So ask questions, really just take advantage of the fact that they haven't been this afternoon with us. So please join me in welcoming President and CEO of Paso Chamber, Mr. James Abunat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Well, and thank you all for having me here. I'm excited to be here today. My name is Ricardo Mora. My friends call me Ricky. They still call me Ricky. Grew up in Ciudad Juárez. How many of you are here from Ciudad Juárez? So maybe half? Half? Okay. What other parts? El Paso? Everybody else from El Paso? Any other parts? No? Chihuahua. Okay. Well, good. So we have a good mix of our region. Anyways, I'm happy to be here and share a little bit about the journey, at least from my perspective on entrepreneurship. And I'm just a person that was born here and raised in our region. And I would tell you that entrepreneurship is really in a lot of our bloodlines, as I have experienced it. And maybe I just want to share that story with you. So my conversation is about purpose in motion and doing good that powers a lasting success. And when you get started, sometimes you don't get that. But now when you start getting gray hair and you have kids and then you start understanding that many of the things you do are doing good to do well. And at the same time, all ships, rises for the tide rises for all. So, and I'll go back. You all, you know what that photo is. You guys are from here. It's a photo of El Paso and Ciudad Juárez. To me, it's dear because I crossed the border thousands of times, coming over to school, living in Juárez until my 30th year, family from both sides of the border. And to me, it's just normal. But when we speak to anybody from outside our region, they think we're just something else that we are not. And right now, and when we talk about the chamber, I'll have an opportunity to talk more about when I get to meet people outside of El Paso and invite them to come in and start understanding the value and the reality that El Paso and Ciudad Juárez are, the narrative starts changing. So a little bit about me in the background. So just so you know, this is me. Back there, you guys weren't born yet. But this is outside my parents' house, and I remember that it used to have I used to have a little table in the front, and my grandfather came to my parents' house, and I was selling stuff. I got to sell stuff. So my mom worked at a furniture store, and she had sample carpets, so I put them out and I would sell them. Just kind of selling whatever my dad's ties. I'd fill up like lotion jars from those things, and I'd just be on the sidewalk and people come by for no reason. But my grandfather came in this day and he says, no, let me move everything. I want to take a photo. And today it's a dear photo. My grandfather passed away, but it's a dear photo that I hold because in truth, just being there in the colonia, talking to our neighbors, kind of got me started on thinking that I could maybe start a business or do something. Honestly, I don't know why I was doing it. It was just something that I wanted to be out there and selling. So don't be afraid of doing it. So I grew up in Ciudad Juárez and El Paso, same, crossing back and forth. And I would tell you that for me, this border has given me kind of an entrepreneurship mindset, just from being little and growing up on the street and just with my friends from Ciudad Juárez. And then I came to UTEP, and I didn't put that here, but I went to military school in Roswell, New Mexico. Then I came to El Paso and I started in UTEP, and I shouldn't say this, but I dropped out. But I will tell you something. I did finish. I got a business degree. But at the time I was coming to UTEP, well, when I was in military school, I had an underground business. I would sell hot dogs. When we had, from 10 to 10:30, we were allowed to be just in the stoops and walking around, and kids were so hungry. So I had like 4 coffee pots that would warm wieners in, and I had bread, and I would just put them in foil, and I would sell 100 hot dogs in 30 minutes, and then lights out. So until it got confiscated. And then I had some demerits, but because I shouldn't be doing that. But anyways, I would just go out and it would entirely sell. But the hot dog story doesn't end there, because when I started coming to school here, I had my first job ever, and it's not here, but I was a Domino's pizza driver on the east side on Tradewood for about a year. And then after that, I partnered with a guy from Juárez who's still my friend. I actually had dinner with him last night. We're close friends. Don't see him that often. And I was able to start a hot dog stand. So we started a hot dog stand. It cost us about $850 to buy the stand itself, and it paid off in 25 days. I still have the invoice. I should have put it here. So, and then we grew it to 3 hot dog stands. And then my partner decided to buy it out. But during that time, while I was taking, wieners into Ciudad Juárez and buying the bread here at Sunbeam and just crossing it over in the car, I met a guy that was selling cell phones, just random guy. And he invited me to go and sell cell phones. It was back when cell phones were like this, and they were installed in vehicles. They were hardwired with an antenna. So that's a Motorola 8000. And this phone did not have any capability to text. It only had 30 memories. You couldn't hold more than 30 numbers. And the way you held the memory was by your memory. You knew that 1 was mom, and 2 was dad, and 3 was your aunt. So you just go recall 01, and that's how you made the phone calls. Now, it was very expensive to have these phones. They were about $3,500 to buy an analog phone that, needed to do a lot of stuff with it, but it served as a communication tool, and it allowed me to start a business in the cellular industry. So I started retail. As I worked through sales here in El Paso with an authorized agent, back then it was called Car Phones. Later, I was doing so well in sales and coming here to UTEP, and it got to a point that I was selling to all the rich Mexicans, and I'm like, what do I do in this class? Today I could make $500 or whatever it was that I had my goal. I'm not supposed to teach you this because you have to finish. I did finish, okay, but not here at UTEP. But I was fortunate to come in at a time when the industry was growing, and to have a lot of the connections of folks that were older, and they would see me on a tie, and I'd wear a tie and a coat, so they could really take me seriously, because I looked very, very, very young, and I'm sitting with the owner of an industrial park, with the owner of Corona or Coca-Cola, and I'm teaching them, or maybe going to their house to install a phone, on their cars or wherever they're using it. And it gave me an opportunity to build relationships, and to meet these families, and to meet a lot of folks that were in business. So really, the cellular industry took me somewhere I never thought I would go. Back then, our quotas were selling 30 phones a month. We grew that to about 35 retail stores. And then we, about 20 years ago, opened a digital platform where we host digital services for prepaid services, in addition to paying your water, your gas, your bill, which is very common here. But in Mexico, it's different. Mm-hmm. So besides retail, we service B2B customers, and we go to tienditas, like small stores, like your OXXO or your 7-Eleven or Circle K's, but they're not that branded. They're locally owned. And we offer a little application where the store owner gets the benefit of being able to do these transactions through a mobile app, and they get traffic to the store. So we build something that allows small businesses to compete. But at the same time, I mean, we're also making a profit for ourselves. And we've been very fortunate. We've had very good runs. Business, for us at least, there are cycles. There's times that we, for whatever reason, one year we sold 150,000 phones because we were able to source them. This is back in 9/11. At that time, I was buying phones in Florida. I would go to Miami. We still had internet cafes, and I would go and look for vendors to sell me product, and I would wait till I could fill a truck, and then I'd ship the truck to El Paso, and then I import these phones to Juárez, and I would sell them to the folks that could not afford, not like this. Now phones were, selling for 500 or 600 pesos, but we were selling hundreds of thousands of phones. So in whatever you decide to do, you have to make sure that you find a problem that you can help solve. So we did, we were solving a problem for a lot of Juárez's community that wanted to have a cell phone but was not affordable. And at that time, I remember we did a promotion, and we went and talked. There's a supermarket chain called S-Mart. I don't know if y'all been to Juárez, but S-Mart back then had 26 stores. Today, they just celebrated their 100th store. And I went to their opening about 4 weeks ago in Juárez. They're large, like Albertsons looking like stores. And we went and spoke to them and said, hey, we want to do a promotion with you. And we think you could service your clients by having your clients buy a phone at S-Mart and get the chance to get a free. They usually always gave something for free when you had a promotion with them. And we ended up convincing them. And they said, we will not do more than 10,000 phones. That's it. We're afraid. So we brought 10,000 phones. We imported them. We launched that campaign, and they sold out in 3 days. It was before a Christmas break. So that month, we sold 42,000 phones. We were getting, and I was like, what? It was before we sold 100,000. And the commission structure is $15 a phone? You guys do the math. Because quotas weren't like that. So these were times where oh my God, I just made $500,000. We still have expenses and we have that, but it was opportunity being at the right time, at the right place. And then things, mellow down to other things. So those are just examples. Being an entrepreneur, you always have to be looking for a problem that you can solve. And this is many years ago. So today, the industry is very different. We continue to run our cellular business. It's changed a lot. We have 12 stores, and retail is tough. It is tough. It is really, retail is for detail. And we moved our business into the B2B businesses. So we service a lot of businesses, about 6,000 businesses through our application, but it's still, with everything that's happening, even more so, obviously, faster here in the U.S. than in Mexico. Many of our customers are just taking their own route. And we're in a transactional business, but it's hard because there's a lot of competition online. It is fearless. So as a business owner, we said, well, what can we do? And we started experimenting with other segments. And this is where Technology Hub comes in. So on our digital platform, and I'll just go do a segue to it, we had built a platform for Mexico. It only serviced Mexico. This is 12 years ago. And we said, how can we do a global platform that services all over the world? Everything we're doing, how do we take it global? So attended a fast-paced innovation entrepreneurship course in Silicon Valley. And then I was blown away. So we started this project. It was called Mobile Paya, for mobile payments. And we started building our roadmap and our journey as we could do it. And it took us about a year to launch our platform. We launched and we were not getting any sales. And we had integrated about 10 countries and maybe 50 operators. And our goal was to keep on integrating more in different currencies, just more complicated. About a month and a half into it, I get a call early in the morning from our IT person, and he says, hey, Ricardo, we sold out last night. Really? Said, so you keep a balance. It's like a checking account. You keep a balance in a purse. And I said, shoot me the IPs. We were hacked. And they stole everything from us. She says, no, these are real. I have all the transactions there. I said, these are called chargebacks. And we're going to have to, the bank is going to deposit the money, and then they're going to come back and say, these are fraud. So we ended up losing that. And I won't make the story too long, but it's something that you learn from. We beefed up our security. It took us about 3 months. We relaunched and had a very small purse depending on the coin that we were using, whether it was pesos. We had some arrangement with other coins and just keeping low balances. 3 months into it, again, we got hacked. So we just got to a point that we were trying to do this so big that we didn't have the bandwidth and we were a small team. So we shut it down. We shut down all our agreements. We said, that's not what we're going to do. And Tech Hub kind of showed up in the way because we learned in California that there's many ways to build companies and to expand and to scale. And that kind of stuck to us. It was more of a mindset of being an entrepreneur and failing and moving forward. And we said, how do we do it? So at that time, Ciudad Juárez had gone through a terrible, horrific time of 08 and 09 when Juárez was just the most deadly city, I guess, in the world. And as a company, we had only kept our stores that were in shopping centers because anything that was on the streets, I mean, we had cars that were burnt and we were held up all the time. And, how do you survive when all these landmines are coming to you? So we ended up saying, once that ended, how do we give back? Because it's really internal. We started a nonprofit organization called Fundación Axel, which still exists today, and I was on the board for 10 years. And originally it was more of a organization to help others. So we would do toy drives and we would do food drives, and we would do it twice a year, and we would take a lot of product, tons and tons, from folks that worked at our businesses, and they helped us. And it was helping us more than it was helping all the albergues and the homes that we were taking the food to. But what we did learn is that you got to give to receive, because we were very transactional at the beginning. I tell you, I was cutthroat. I'm like, he's in front of the street, he's selling at $10, I'm going to do it at $9. I want him out of here. But then you start, getting a little bit wiser, and you understand you have to build more of a community. So we said, let's look for a place that we could potentially start a small space, co-working, innovation programs. And we looked at various locations, and the old U.S. consulate in Ciudad Juárez popped up on López Mateos. They had relocated. They had been here for 40 years. They relocated to a larger one. This is a 2-acre property with about, I get confused in metros and square feet, with about 55,000 square feet of space. Decent size, 3 buildings, main buildings, and 2 in the back. And we said, you know what, let's try and see if we can negotiate it. We ended up buying the facility from the U.S. government. And they did ask us, who are you? They wanted to make sure we presented a plan to them. This is what we're going to do. We showed them we were from the community. And we had this crazy idea to build this innovation entrepreneurship center. And that's how it got started. As we started this, we noticed 3 problems. So no startup ecosystem, non-existent, nobody thinking like an entrepreneur. I mean, entrepreneurs, yes, but they're selling menudo or they're fixing transmissions, but nothing that could scale. Secondly, we also found that there was not a lot of capital. So as we speak to companies that were coming in or trying to get started, they're like, well, no tengo nada. It's just my idea. And lastly, talking about, reskilling and the digital skills gap, we kept on hearing these sounds of folks that, they wanted or had an idea, but had no way to get the skills. And you all being here and having the privilege of being in a university, you have to take advantage of it, because there are so many people in our community that don't have that opportunity and don't take it for granted. In my case, I decided to move 100% into the business side after I think I was a junior. I broke my dad's heart, but I told him that I will promise you that I will finish it for you. And I gave him his diploma when I was 33 years old, and he cried. And so now my dad's not here anymore. But I would tell you that this problem is very similar to El Paso. and it's very similar to many communities. So if you think about it, do we have a large startup ecosystem?
Yep.
Yeah. No, we don't. It's building. The Mike Loya Center is doing an amazing job. NMSU is doing an amazing job. The launchpad you have is, I don't know if the Blackstone launchpad is still, that is an amazing opportunity. Pioneers 21, which is an incubator in El Paso. If you don't know it, I've served on their board for close to 10 years. It's an amazing platform for ideas to become something. We didn't have all that back then. So it was just nascent. We're an emerging ecosystem. El Paso, Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua. It's still up and coming, but we have to promote it. Capital, there were no venture funds 10 or 12 years ago. And then the digital reskilling gap. So what we ended up doing is said, if we start this, it's got to have a why. It's got to have something that is going to help our community, and it's also going to help us, finance and make this sustainable. So we've tried many things, but our most successful ones and examples of them is that we did a program called the Bridge Accelerator. And the Bridge Accelerator is a supplier development program that allows companies that are already in business, they could be very small, to connect to large manufacturers. And you're not going to believe this, but I actually came to UTEP about 6 years ago to listen to a conversation of the president of Microsoft, Brad Smith, and I was sitting in the audience with the students. And I was just invited because I was the CEO of Tech Hub and I had a good relationship with UTEP, and we did some stuff together, and they asked him, well, why do you have Titletown Tech in Wisconsin with the Green Bay Packards? One of the students got up and asked that. He says, well, it's an investment that we co-invested with them, and each of us put some money to make that happen, and it's a great space that's called Titletown Tech. And I was just hearing him. I thought, we got to get him here. We got to get him to Juárez. So that led to another conversation that I was invited to, and the university was there. All the schools were there, and it was at the old Civic Center building. And I was the only guy from Juárez, and they were here. They were implementing a program called TechSpark, which is technology, education, literacy in schools. It is still running. And they were just showcasing that it was going to be ran in El Paso. And they hired JJ Childress. Not sure if you met him, but he's a great asset to our community. He's the Microsoft engagement manager for El Paso. And during that conversation, I just, like a student, I said, hey, Mr. Smith, do you know there's a community across the street, the border here, that has 1.5 million people that are hungry and that are doing great work on automation, that this is happening? We could literally walk over to Ciudad Juárez right now, and I could have you across the border in 8 minutes if we walk, if you drive in 2. So it kind of, rang a bell. And after that meeting, I was called in to say, hey, we want to hear more about what you're talking about. So it took about 6 months. We've had folks that were being flown in. We had people for security that were being flown in. And then they came to Ciudad Juárez. And he visited. He says, I want you to do the same thing that we did in El Paso, but in Juárez at the Tech Hub. So we held a meeting, and we brought all the leadership from Ciudad Juárez, all the schools. I was a facilitator, and during that conversation, said, well, how can Microsoft get involved in Juárez? Would you be willing to also, it says, as of today, El Paso and Juárez will be part of Tech Hub, TechSpark. And we will have a Juárez Microsoft manager, which is Omar Saucedo. And that led us to start building different things together. So they kept on coming to El Paso on different occasions. And honestly, I was getting tired because every time they'd call me, I'd go to the hotel. I was a translator, just kind of really just, when is this going to get off the ground? And there's a gentleman by the name of Mike Egan. And I said, hey, Mike, should I give you a proposal? What is it about? I said, there is so much opportunity on supplier development. Our community imports, back then it was $39 billion US cross our border. Today it's 54. They get repurposed and sent all over the world. And back then, it was 1.7% of that was sourced regionally. So what does that mean? It means that companies from all over the world are benefiting by bringing the raw materials here, selling them to the manufacturers. But all that stays here is cafeteria, gloves, security guards, a little bit of automation. So I said, I have a program I want to pitch you. And I learned in Silicon Valley how to do an 8-slide sales presentation. And he says, send it over. I sent it over to him that week. The next week, he emailed me back. He says, Ricardo, can you put a budget around it? And can you find 2 other sources that will back it? I said, sure. So it took me a week. We already had a lot of relationships. I onboarded Bosch, which was one of our clients in Ciudad Juárez, onboarded Flow Networks, and back then it was the Secretary of Economy. And I said, this is the budget. It was $150,000 to run the first cohort. A in-person 3-month program with a start and a finish to be able to pilot this program. You're not going to believe this. 21 days, I received a check in my house to my name for $150,000. That, it says, go do the pilot, Ricardo. It doesn't matter. They said, what's the organization's name? It's just go run the pilot. So that led into doing the Bridge Accelerator. The program has done amazingly. Right now, it's going on a digital format. It has helped about 109 companies from both sides of the border. It's helped them gain about $113 million US worth of purchase orders, about 11 million in investment capital, and that's just through an idea and through a platform that is Tech Hub. Tech Hub is like a church, and the Bridge is a program. Today, it's pivoting to a national program called PYME. PYME is a small SME, which is a small medium enterprise in Mexico, and we're piloting a program to get 30,000 companies into PYME AI. So that's what PYME means. We also got together with folks from El Paso and Ciudad Juárez. To be very honest with you, this was a very heavy lift. We put a fund together. We started conversations with 5, and then with 8, and then with 9, and then finally said, how do we start a fund for our community that entrepreneurs can come, pitch, and access money? So we got together, and that was like my very first time that I'm like dealing with a lot of investors. Maybe half of them I knew from business, and others I didn't, with a group of El Pasoans. And we did a small raise, about $2.5 million. The fund got fully funded, and then we funded about 20 ventures. Different ticket sizes, 50,000. The most we've done one is 460,000, and then the money is deployed. So, but that was something that came out of this. And if you remember, now there's more funds in El Paso. So there are multiple funds that you can go and tap into that are doing this. We haven't decided to do Fund 2.0 because it is a heavy lift, and it's difficult. It takes a lot of time. And then for the digital transformation, we said, how do we transform people? Right now, all we're doing with our nonprofit is helping them by taking them food and making them happy while we take them gifts and getting to know them and seeing how they grow up through the years. But we're just helping them be happy for a moment. And we want to help them to have them understand how they can go fish for themselves. With one of our sponsors, I said, have an idea. And the idea was, how do we build a fab lab, which is a digital fabrication laboratory? Are you all familiar with that type of? You have the Keck Center, which you guys have an amazing top of the line. I mean, a fab lab is just, kids play, but it is a social platform. It came out of the Bits and Atoms Center at MIT. And we decided to push one for Ciudad Juárez, and El Paso Fab Lab helped us do the Juárez Fab Lab in the sense of guiding us and giving us mentorship and getting it done. And then when we put the budget together, one of our sponsors said, listen, I'll put all the equipment. So there's a lot of companies here, and I'll tell you, it's Flow Networks. It's a company that was called Transtelco. It's a company that now is moving innovation and doing a lot of stuff in New Mexico for Jupiter. So, and these are companies that started here. So we addressed 3 problems. I mean, we addressed, making sure companies had access to more business, to capital, and the reskilling. So today, the Fab Lab has serviced thousands of kids. We have a separate board. It's a nonprofit organization. It grew into a mobile Fab Lab because Ciudad Juárez has different needs. We take a van with all the equipment and with teachers all across the state from Chihuahua, in partnership with a U.S. consulate, with Aptiv, with Tech Hub, and FECHAC, which is a funding organization in the state of Chihuahua. And we teach kids that there's opportunities in math, engineering, science, and STEM. It's all about planting a seed. And that's the why. And we're building something that has not existed. And I'm not going to tell you it's been easy, but it is something that fills you that you're changing something in a community. So those are the three things that, we talk about. We have a culinary school. There's an art platform that does many things. Yoga Urbano, hundreds of things we've done. But these are like the most, larger ones that I would tell you that are operating and making a change in our community. So doing good to do well. You have to do good first. When you're flying in the aircraft and the masks come down, you put it on first. And then you help the next one. You have to. And if there would be a takeaway that I would tell you that sometimes we were too naive and we weren't even listening to that. The first 5 years were very tough for us. We just, besides not knowing what we were doing, how to make it sustainable, because you get a lot of folks coming wanting your service and everything is mostly for free. So it's hard to put a price on it. So make sure that when you look at your business models, you really do a business plan and do a modeling about it. You say, I'm going to get to this benchmark by this time, and I'm going to get to this one by this time. And when I do well, 1% of my profits is going to go to this. Lo hicimos como dicen los mexicanos, nos fuimos como el borras. You guys know what that is? Vámonos, que se vaya. But today it's different. So Tech Hub is an innovative ecosystem offering office spaces, technology, training, meeting rooms for events. It connects entrepreneurs, customers, and collaborators for their well-being and the well-being of our community. That is our value proposition. It is a physical space. We charge money for people that rent offices. They're very small, but we have like 15 different rooms that you could book. You do them through a mobile app. We have large auditoriums. Well, not super large, but they can fit about 250 people. We've actually had people that go and have their wedding there, or quinceañeras on the weekend. So we're looking for ways to revenue to be able to keep the sustainability of the space, because it is a physical space. It needs to be alive. The lights need to get paid. Employees need to get paid. Internet, water, gas. That's what it looks like. These are just photos. It's got a beautiful roof garden. If you ever go to Juárez, you're welcome to go in there. It's close to the border, 5 minutes from the border. That picture on top is Avenida López Mateos. That's the old U.S. consulate. The first row of the road was concrete barricades that were about 10 feet deep. So if there was a bomb car or something trying to get in, they couldn't. The second was the wall. And the third is the buildings are fully bulletproof. So you could not take a phone. You can't. Has anybody been to the consulate? Any consulate? I mean, they're just highly secure. And we ended up removing that, the walls, and it turned into this great space and a great story that allows us to, and I see it as, the consulate in Juárez is the largest visa consulate in the world, and it's helped millions of people. Sometimes I meet people when we're traveling in other countries or overseas, and I tell them what I do, and like, I've been to Juárez to that consulate, and I felt sick to my stomach because I didn't know if I was going to get my visa. It says, well, now it's an innovation space. Now it's a transformation space. And that's what Tech Hub is. So here at Tech Hub, I mentioned we have over 100 thriving companies in the ecosystem, all sizes. But I'm happy to share. And when I say this, folks in the business community are like, what are you saying? Today, we have 6 publicly traded companies in the stock exchange at Tech Hub. Where? In Juárez? Of course. Microsoft is there. Now it's Emerson. It used to be called National Instruments. Leggett & Platt, Schneider, Carbuter Wise. So obviously these companies understand that they need to be in ecosystems that promote this type of stuff. And on the Mexican side, we have national companies. I'm not sure if you know this, but there's a large, now they're a financial institution, but Coppel is a furniture store, electronics. It's, Bancoppel is at Tech Hub. Banco Base is at Tech Hub, not retail side, more on the, on the back end side. So we're attracting these types of organizations. And then in addition, there's over 10 nonprofit organizations there that get visibility, that get credibility, and they used to work out of their garage. And they're like, you know what? By being here, we've been able to partner with other organizations and do things to move them forward. So the Bridge Accelerator created over 800 jobs, 113 million in sales facilitated, 11 million in venture investments for the companies that are in that program. A lot of students, over 15,000 students have gone by there, and we just didn't build a business. We believe we built a bridge. So that is what we're doing at Tech Hub. If you Google it, you'll find a lot of stuff online. There's stuff on Huffington Post, Business Insider, Inc. Magazine, Entrepreneur, FDI Intelligence, and many other platforms where you can kind of read what's going on. And just, it's a magnet. And I think El Paso should also have it. I think we should support all the entrepreneurship programs that we have, whether they're university, private, because we need to be fresh and open to ideas. Oh, I didn't change it. That's what it is. So that's a little bit about the news. And then I'm moving over to the El Paso Chamber. So the El Paso Chamber is, does anybody know what a chamber is? I don't expect you to know. I didn't either. No. So a chamber, this is so weird because I'm an entrepreneur. And when we met at the chamber offices in El Paso, the chamber president was there.
You did.
I was at Tech Hub one day. I get a call, and she says, "Hey, Ricardo, we're taking our leadership class into Ciudad Juárez. It's called Leadership El Paso. For 5 decades, the El Paso Chamber has a program called Leadership El Paso, and they do many things throughout the year. But on that last Friday of the month, it was like, we want to take them to Tech Hub. Can you put a panel together?" I said, "Sure, I'll help you." So we brought the U.S. consulate on their political advisor and economic development, Microsoft, because we already have the relationship, and we did a panel for them. And they were just, this is how you do business across the border. This is how you can expand your businesses. Don't be afraid. There's many areas where you can grow it. And that was my relationship with the El Paso Chamber. I was not a member. Chambers of Commerce are organizations in the U.S. There's 8,000 of them. They were born 200 plus years ago all over the country, and it's businesses coming together for the same cause. So a chamber really represents the voice of a community to be able to be listened to. And I know that the younger generations really don't understand this. Many of our businesses are all sizes, but really a chamber does more than you can imagine, because you can't do it alone. And if I go back to Tech Hub, there's companies there that I would tell you that could speak to you, and it would tell you there's no way in the world I could have had my company do what it's doing today without everybody around me and with the joint ventures that I've done, because I cannot be everything to everybody. So we brought that. I came into the El Paso Chamber about 14 months ago. The CEO called me and said, it sent me an email. I should put that email one day. And she's very funny. She says, "Ricardo, they're doing a national search for the CEO for the El Paso Chamber. How am I doing on time?" "Good. You're good." And she says, "I think you would be perfect, but I won't hate you if you won't reply. LOL." I'm like, what is this? So I emailed her back. I said, "I'm not looking for a job. I'm pretty busy in Juárez. We got a lot of stuff happening, but I'm just curious to hear what you're thinking." So I had a 30-minute call with her on a Thursday, and she says, "Ricardo, they've been doing this national search for like 2 months or something. We're probably too late, but I really think with what you've built in Ciudad Juárez, you can come help the El Paso Chamber. Please let me put your name in the drawing. Just let me give them your name." And I said, "Okay." So that was that. I said, "They're not going to call me." I get a call immediately the next day, and I get connected to a guy out of Austin that is doing the search. He says, I need to have a meeting with you. Okay. So I said, sure. I don't mind having a conversation. And so I have this Zoom meeting with him, and he asked me, he says, I want to clear some stuff out. I want to understand, first of all, why do you think, you could be I said, I don't know anything about the chamber. I said, and before you record, I said, don't record it. I want to give you something off the record. You know what my very first formal job was? He says, no, I was a Domino's pizza driver. That's what I told him. Honest truth. This would be my second job ever. So go ahead, man. Interview me. That's it. I mean, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I didn't build a career on it. All I can tell you is that the engagements, the people that I've met, the businesses that we've built together, the failures and the successes help you build something. And I don't know, and that says, now I'm recording. Okay. So he recorded me, sent it off to the committee, and then the committee said, okay, we'll meet with him. And then, I basically told him the same thing. I just said, this is who I am, and this is what I've done. And if you think, I don't know a lot of government relations, I don't know anything about, the public policy side. I'm not involved. I'm just a business guy. Anyways, it got serious. I went to take my daughter to camp in Austin, and we spent a week in Austin waiting for her to come out of camp. And I got a phone call, and I was with my wife, and I have a 14-year-old daughter. And the guy says, hey, Ricardo, can you talk? I said, yeah. Listen, you're a runner-up. You're a finalist. I hope. It's like, so I hadn't told my wife anything. So when you get married, you're going to understand that. And I said, oh God, okay. So, but in my mind, I still knew that I could really back down and say, listen, I know you have two other perfect candidates. I can't do this. So I told my wife, honey, I got to talk to you. Can we go to dinner tonight? She said, what's wrong? I said, no, I got to talk to you. And then we sat at dinner, and I said, I did something. What did you do? So I told her the story. And I said, and I'm a finalist. There's three of us. And I really want you to know that if I take this on, it's going to change everything. Because now I have to serve to a board. And I have to serve to a community. And I have to be responsible to different times. I can't just get up and go. And I'm going to have time. My vacation time is going to change. My time with you guys as a family is going to change. And this is a commitment of time and, giving back to the community. And she said, don't say anymore. You have to do it. We live in El Paso. Our daughter goes to school in El Paso. The community's been great to us. It is our time. So now I'm here 14 months later. Obviously we do many things I'm just building on what's been built at the El Paso Chamber. So for 125 years, it started as a merchants organization coming together. The organization is 125 years old, created about 220,000 jobs, 4.6 billion in annual revenue, and obviously the legacy behind it. It is, I can't even, I'm just happy to be able to represent this organization moving it forward. So, the El Paso Chamber, as we move forward, we did do some changes. So I said, well, I got to clear it up because we're doing too many things. What is our mission? So the El Paso Chamber is the leading business advocacy organization in the El Paso region. It's dedicated to three things: fostering job growth, economic expansion, and elevating quality of life. I know that's a lot to say, but that's businesses coming together, paying dues for others that are going to come behind them. It's like, honestly, it's like my parents did it. It's like my grandparents did it. It's a handshake. And, you guys are all young and coming and everything is digital. And sometimes it's just a swipe, or I get in, or I follow, or I unfollow. This has deeper roots. So as you grow your businesses, think about organizations such as chambers or others that are part of a community. Tech Hub was just a chamber, kind of. It was the stepping, point for me to understand it. Whether it wasn't a chamber, it was a business. And And I've been fortunate to do a lot of things with it. So obviously my same mindset of entrepreneurship, building startups can help continue building our cities. As I came in, I do have an angle for the cross-border. I would tell you that we have many members that have joined the chamber that were not members of the chamber, and they're from Ciudad Juárez. But I asked him, I said, hey, where do you live? Oh, here in El Paso. Where do your kids go to school? Oh, here in El Paso. Where do you work? Juárez. Come on, man. Oh, in Juárez, I do despensas. And I said, you got to get back to El Paso. You're a taxpayer. Our community needs you. So, we've been building the base on cross-border businesses. That is something very different that I've been able to bring to the chamber. And it's working. So we're happy about it. We just relocated our office. We're at the Blue Flame building. Are you all familiar with that? Downtown. We were there for a month, and we do many, many things. So the El Paso Chamber, just for general purposes of knowing, usually is the connection between the city and the business leadership, the county and the business leadership. The workforce development elements, as such as education or workforce development, and the community, and also the military and the community. We run 4 events a year. We're having our next one, which is the state of the county, coming up in November. And the county showcases everything they do with our community, but we do a lot of stuff together for them. We don't work for the county. They don't pay us, but we're promoting what they're doing, and we do it in a collaborative way. We did the state of education and workforce. We had President Wilson, President Serrata, Dr. Black from Texas Tech, and Western Technical College on the panel for that workforce and education session, which is a large session. We had 550 people in the room. So the state ofs are 700 people in the room. And it's the community coming together. It's all sharing what they do and how they overlap and they help each other. Same thing as we were doing in Juárez. So for me, this has been a total experience of learning, a lot more about chambers and how you can scale and help your community build into something different. So lessons around this journey is learn from failure and keep showing up. If something fails, keep doing it. So we failed on that platform that I shared with you, and we failed hard, but we used what we learned to do this other initiative and help others, around that. We started with talking about problems. So making sure that when you're an entrepreneur, and I do have to tell you that, entrepreneurs have ideas, many, many ideas, but make sure that your idea is solving a problem. It's got to be, you have to solve a problem. If it's just an idea because you think that, you need it, you have to test it, and it has to solve a problem for the masses or for many businesses, depending on the segment that you're going to decide to service. Build for sustainability, not dependency. Our first years were tough. We lost track. I'd always been a business owner, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to open the hot dog stand. It cost me $850. How long for me to get them back? I'm going to open a retail store. It costs us X amount of dollars. How long before I can get it back? Because it's an investment. You're doing investments. But entrepreneurship is messy. And when we took the challenge of Tech Hub, we really lost track. And it was more, we really moved 80% just innovation without thinking about what we could do. And I would tell you, it's very important to understand your sustainability model. Very important, because if you don't do good, you can't do well for anybody else. You got to do good for yourselves. You got to put on the risk first. And then lead with empathy and community. So that, I would tell you, is my biggest takeaway from working at Tech Hub. That and my daughter being born 14 years ago. It changes your life when you know somebody's depending on you. And it makes you more human. And you understand that nothing is cutthroat. There's always, we all got to be happy at the end of the day for the deal. It's not about me. It's about, well, how do we make this work for both of us? So that's some of the lessons on my journey. obviously have a purpose. You have to have a purpose as you're moving forward. Again, ganas, grit, never stop pursuing that angle. Stick to one if you can, because sometimes entrepreneurs have 30 ideas. I'm one of those. And you got to give all your effort to one. Then if it doesn't work, then you shut it off and you go to the next one. Obviously think about your community and sustainability in the business sense. Just making it very clear, it's how do you make that business sustainable so it can continue. On the chamber perspective, the chamber is a nonprofit organization that needs to be sustainable. If it doesn't collect membership fees, it's not sustainable. If it doesn't, reduce its costs, it's not sustainable. What I could tell you that I bring to the chamber is I run it as a business. And sometimes they you're calling them customers. I'm sorry, they're members. But they are our customers. We're servicing our customers, which are our members. We're adding value to their businesses. We're helping them expand and scale. So this is not digital, it's analog. Do you guys have a piece of paper? It's analog. So this is my interaction, but it's analog because we started with an analog phone. Whoever gets the right answer, well, I can't say what they're going to get. So write a sentence that defines your why. Why are you guys here at school? Why are you here in life? Why do you want to start a business? I'll give you guys a couple of minutes.
Yes.
And we're all in different paths in life. Different things and experiences drive us. So it's super simple. If you want to start a business, why do you want to start a business?
Well,
We got an early finisher. How's everybody doing? You guys good? Who would like to share? Adelante. What's your name? What are you studying? And what's your why?
I am Cruces. I'm a master's student of computer science. And my why doing everything is to help others.
And thank you for sharing. Thank you. Anybody else? Adelante.
Many hard to that. And trying to do this. And my why is to sort of follow life for me and your kid.
Beautiful. Remember, you got to make money though, okay? Otherwise, you got to pay the bills at your house. But that's good. It's our community. We're building it together. Anybody else want to share? And there's no wrong answer. Go ahead.
So I have an entertainment company here. I just moved a couple years ago from the East Coast, started studying like 10 years out there. I have an entertainment company over there too. Business partners to operate it. And my why is I moved back because I wanted to create opportunities for myself, my community here. I feel like I was creating opportunities there. I still have contractors that work consistently there, but I felt like I wanted to do the same thing here in the entertainment and production business. But I have a local city, co-border entertainment. I'm very interested in the cross, border business model.
So you're originally from El Paso?
I'm from Juárez.
Juárez, okay. That's great. Thank you for coming back. This community has so much. Sometimes we want to leave it, but it has so much to offer. Thank you for sharing. Somebody? What's your name?
My name is Juan Pablo. I'm an industrial engineering major. And the reason why I do pretty much everything that I do is because I like to be remarkable, to build and leave a legacy. But that's kind of like what I think is the great thing in that team.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Gracias. Anybody else?
So my name is Mauricio Tablis, and I'm here at school. And I'm a performing arts major. So I'm an actor, and I'm here at Spruceville to make my dream a possibility and to demonstrate others, and more specifically again, I'll pass it that if I can do it, if make it, then there are others again. So.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I know I heard recently of a production they're going to do here in 2027 that I have to connect you with that person that is going to do that rollout. It's going to be I don't know if it's theater, but I was just connected by the U.S. consulate on that. But ping me so I can give you some information on that. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I was thinking it's Brenda Zamide. I'm a nurse and I'm a veteran of studies at the well. And I'm currently getting my master's in business. And my why is still intact as something I have to communicate about that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brenda. You have the same name as our finance manager, exactly. Her name is Brenda Ramirez. Yes. Thank you for your service. And thank you for coming back and re-engaging. We have a board, just to add something to this. And on our board, we just had somebody roll into our board from UTEP. It used to be Michael Dalby. Now it's former Colonel Brandon Gallagher from Fort Bliss. So I just saw him this morning, and the work that the military do in our community, it is so important. Just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
I want to study the education. I'm from chemistry requirement with PhD in patient. I want to bring that education set plan to help students to fill the gap in the knowledge they have to go to the schools and to medical school or to engineering. I see the need and the gap, and that's why that's a place home so that students can learn and get tried.
What is your name?
Geodish, come on.
Geo? Oh, Geo is better, shorter for me. Geodish. All right, Geodish. Thank you. Well, as you think about that, I would encourage you to get that idea and put it into a one-pager. I'm sure you can learn how to do that, and then maybe ping Pioneers 21 with that idea. So they do a lot of education stuff. And I would also think about, once you have it, that it looks like what it can do, talk to Pioneers 21. They have access to capital. They have access to mentorship. And then I would encourage you to go to Fab Lab because they do a lot of training in different areas. We all know that the education system is moving all over the world. We all learn differently. We all learn through our phones. We all learn through what we read, digital. And but I still do believe that being with others that have learned is much more than just learning it on your own. So being here in school is a great asset. Anybody else?
My name is Brenda Herrera.
Otra Brenda.
Yeah, advertising, but they do see caveat. I'm a massage therapist in life coach. I believe every lady can be into well-being, not just wellness. So I plan to use the media advertising. We're pretty soon going to open a massage school. So that's the legacy that I want to leave behind. Although you guys we're studying something, don't forget about your well-being, because once that hits top bottom and you're not ready for cortisol level, letting your success is very tough. So that's my message.
Linda, thanks for sharing. And that segues into what we're talking about. You have to do good for yourself before you can do well to others. Same thing, you got to put on the mask first. Thank you. And now we have two Brendas. Any more Brendas here? Were they giving away that anyway? Anybody else?
Sure. I am Fernanda Ubali, PhD student in environmental science, and my why is to reconnect people and our quality of life to environmental systems and making sure that we have all the climates to the future. And I do believe that we can have sustainability be refined at people's planet and profit, and that we really need to focus right now on when that we're kind of in a crisis. So I'm actually working on a grant right now to do a circular economic system, develop the time bank in the region. And I'm about to show you my major after.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you guys my QR code. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, and happy to, connect. Thank you for that. I know that the realm of sustainability in that sense, not the monetary side, it is a hard, heavy lift. currents change, they come and go. And right now, our current political climate is different, but nothing stays the same. So keep on doing it. Anybody else?
My name is Nizam. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm currently doing my master's in economy. I did my undergraduate in finance and banking. So the why is, I like it. I like to think about business ideas, and I think I can do this for the rest of my life without getting bored or anything. And I want to have an impact on the economic development. I find this interesting, the economic policies and stuff.
Cause very interesting. So keep abreast of what the El Paso Chamber is doing, the Borderplex Alliance, the Hispanic Chamber, and many organizations that are working in economic development. Thank you. Anybody else?
Ricardo, before we wrap up, can I ask you a question? One Mr. Mora.
So how can, if I join the chamber, what are some of the resources the chamber provides if I already have at least like a small business operating here in El Paso?
Yeah, I mean that I'm not on the sales side, but I could tell you that just you get exposure, you get visibility. We have a member directory that all of our members can see it. It's physical and it's digital. You get uploaded on our CRM, which gives you access to ping other members inside of the chamber once you're up and you're a member of the chamber. And I would say the most important thing you get as a chamber member is that you have to go meet people. It's like, oh, I got my membership to the gym, but I never went. It didn't do anything for me. You got to go meet. So we are a convener, and we bring people together. Happy to connect you with our sales team, so they can give you with no commitment. Thank you.
Give me this question. But one of the things that I noticed that you talked about really kind of hovers over the benefit and value of your network, right? You couldn't have everything to everyone. You can't do everything either. Is there any other skill or trait or characteristic that you feel outweighs the value of having a network that you would offer as advice for us to fill or strengthen that outweighs the network?
I would tell you perseverance. It's just, you have to keep at it, and do not allow anything to hold you back. If you believe in what you are doing, you have to. It doesn't matter. I mean, don't give up, because for me right now, it's potentially easy to say that we built a network, but every time you persevere and you decide to go after something, even if it's a very small project, you do it and you deliver. And if you don't deliver or something comes out bad, you say, hey, this is what happened. So I messed up. I misjudged the alignment. Just be direct. I mean, that's what it is. It's just being as direct as you can with anything that you're doing, and be persistent, but always add value. Go ahead.
So we all acknowledge that we feel that maybe El Paso doesn't have the strongest ecosystem yet. We're building it, but we don't have the science. But we're also probably the biggest binational metropolitan area in the world. So how do you think that happens? And what can we do as to institution of higher ed, but maybe also in the chamber, to help build that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And it's I would say not easy to answer, because we're culturally different. And I consider myself more a Mexican than an American, because I grew up in Juárez. And I've been living in El Paso maybe for about 17 years, but I still cross very often to Ciudad Juárez. And I don't know why, maybe since I was there for over 30 years, I still consider myself a Juarense. So there's a lot of opportunities that are cross border that people do not find anywhere. And I'll give you, an example. There's a company here locally, and I mentioned it earlier, that's a 20-year-old company that started selling internet. Today, they're an internet service provider that was born in Ciudad Juárez in El Paso, with over 30,000 miles of fiber working in the U.S. and in Mexico, and they provide over 20% of the internet to Mexico. And it was 2 students that started selling these antennas. They would send signal from El Paso to Juárez and put it on the buildings. That didn't work. Later, they wired. They have over 12 or 14 international crossings for fiber. So being on the border has its advantages because there's opportunities like that. Another industry that right now is getting hurt, but it's been going for many years, is the cattle industry. Cattle industry, I personally know a lot of cattle people in Mexico that leverage being able to buy cattle in bulk from the entire country and sell it to producers in the United States. And you can do that only from the border when you know the border. When you're doing manufacturing, a lot of opportunities. When you're doing logistics, a lot of opportunities. And right now, if we want it or not, regardless of it, supply chain development for data centers is something that we have never seen before. Never seen. Whether you heard about Meta or you heard about Jupiter or you heard about maybe the Golden Dome, Phoenix has 19 data centers. You guys figure. And they're there. Why are they there? Why do you guys think? AI, our phones, we're pinging them all day. There has to be warehouses to store all that data. I'm not saying they're necessarily good, but we all produce them. If we use a computer or we use a phone, we're feeding AI. Who hasn't used AI? Who hasn't done a query here? We all do it every day. So there's opportunity for business for that. And then we can also, help by saying, how are you going to be circular? I have heard some information on the Jupiter project. On the water side, they have a circular project. On the energy, they're going to, I think they're going to build their old energy. It's a huge project. Don't know a lot about it, but that's what I would say. Take advantage of being on the border. There's a lot of advantages here. And right now, that is a big one that is moving into our region, besides the manufacturing.
I think on that note, join me for the taking, Mr. Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. If y'all want, I don't know if you do LinkedIn or not, but that's what I have. I can give you my QR code. It's here. You guys want to scan it? I don't know if it's too